I'll be right back. Okay, so it's been more than a year and a lot has happened in the last 12 months, and I'm sorry that we weren't here to share it with you. I've had many people reach out, especially in the last couple of months, to say, hey, are you okay? Are you going to come back? And I've really appreciated the messages and comments. There are lots of reasons that we needed to take a break, and we'll do our best to explain in this video, and I'll tell you about where we're going with the channel. I've always said that I'm not a professional YouTuber, and nor do I ever want to be. It's not that you can't make a career out of being a YouTuber, especially in technology. It's just that I really enjoy the work that we do and being connected with real people. In the tech world, that gives us a unique perspective and a grounding that I think most YouTubers don't get. It's very easy to become detached from reality when all the work that you do is simply playing with tech and making videos about it. In our training work, we encounter people from all walks of life. We've trained people from the big cities to the most remote parts of Australia and New Zealand. Been to places like mine sites in the Pilbara in Western Australia, to the Surat Basin in Queensland. We've trained government workers in every state of Australia, even some of Australia's elected senators and parliamentarians, including at least one state premier. We've trained teachers in remote locations like Kernibba, Ceduna and Mount Gambier in South Australia, and all over Tasmania. We've trained educators, steel workers, social workers, you name it, pretty much everywhere from Christchurch to Auckland to Wellington, in Aotearoa, New Zealand as well. And I know I'm labouring this, but I recently ran some tech leadership workshops in Thailand. We've coached bank executives in New York City, tech executives in Silicon Valley, and even Microsoft people in Redmond. Now, that kind of exposure to how people work is pretty unique, and we could never get that if we were full-time YouTubers. However, we make YouTube videos because we want to share that experience, the different viewpoints, perspectives, and the lessons with all of the world. And being able to learn and grow through making a contribution to YouTube is something that I really appreciate. Now, as you know, we sold our company to ASI Solutions here in Australia back in 2021. And we've been with the company a little over 2 years now, and we continue to work there today because they have embraced and backed our vision. We've been able to retain and even grow our team over the past 2 years under ASI, and we intend to be here for the foreseeable future. So what happened to the videos? Well, the last video that I posted was in January last year, and around that time we were kicking off a video project that proved to be a far bigger task than we could have ever imagined. The project ended up inundating my video team with more work than they could possibly handle, and it drew in all of my attention and the attention of most of our team. And being part of ASI has enabled us to tackle a project of considerable size together with the people and the skills and resources of that much bigger team. And I'll tell you about the project, but first let me tell you about the idea behind it. We deliver training for people from all walks of life who use Microsoft products at work, as we've talked about. For example, we're often engaged by Microsoft to teach their customers how to use and to think differently about their Surface devices. We teach teams how to embrace Microsoft Teams. Then we introduce tools like OneNote, Planner, and To-Do, and Loop to teams that want to improve their well-being, creativity, and productivity. But the trouble is that most people don't want to go to training. I know it's hard to believe, right? I mean, who wouldn't want to go along and sit in a boring 3-day training course? Just do this, just do that, click here, click there. I mean, the perception that people have of training, especially tech related, is usually pretty poor to begin with.
Reach out.
Also, people often suggest to us that they shouldn't go to training because they're not a techie. I mean, that's interesting, right? Why would not being a techie mean that you shouldn't go to training? Others, especially those who work in IT-related roles, tell us, I'll be right, mate, I know how to use a computer. By the way, when those people come along and they sit through our sessions, they almost always leave telling us, wow, I really learned something today. And it's a fascinating reaction that tells us a lot about how people perceive the need for training in technology. The reason for that is the culture and the practice that's developed around skills training and technology over the last 25 years. Back in 2021, Microsoft company president Brad Smith gave a speech to the IMF Exchange calling out the fact that training investments in organizations right across the world pretty much stopped in the year 2000. Now, if you're old enough, you might remember that the year 2000 was a pivotal year in technology. It was the year that planes were going to fall out of the sky, power plants were going to shut down, and the general end of the world, at least from a technology perspective, was about to arrive. That was because of the Y2K bug, which turned out to be not much of a thing, maybe because of the urgent work that went into mitigating said bug. Now, those years leading up to 2000 were pretty crazy in the tech world. Budgets were taken from technology training to fund the efforts to stamp out Y2K. And then shortly after that, the dot-com bubble in the year 2000 burst, and it created a distaste for technology in general. Now, the arrival of the iPhone in 2007 and the iPad in 2010, along with some pretty slick Apple marketing messages, really cemented the idea that training was for old technology. They really managed to foster the idea that good things should be intuitive. In other words, to require minimal effort. What we got from that lack of thinking was distraction, stress, and social media rabbit holes. As Brad Smith called out in his speech prior to the year 2000, we used to send people on training courses. Old technology, right? People would do training to learn how to use Windows, a word processor like Word, how to use a spreadsheet program like Excel. Now, I'm not suggesting that the training we did back then was great. I mean, I once did a 3-day course on Windows 2000. I don't know how they possibly made it go on that long. And the content was all, how to do this, click here, do that sort of stuff. It could have been better, but the point was that we sent people on those courses and they learned skills that they brought back into the workplace. And in the year 2000, we stopped doing that almost entirely. And as a result, work practices today are in so many ways identical to what they were in the year 2000. Now today, online training courses on LinkedIn Learning and Udemy advertise how many hours of training they have packed into their courses. Yuck! I mean, it's just aimless and overwhelming. Who's got time for it? And where do you even start? And on top of that, companies like Microsoft actually believe that people want to learn stuff in the flow of work. I mean, how many times have you seen one of those little pop-ups telling you about some new feature of whatever Office app you're trying to use? It usually happens at the most inappropriate time when you really need to get something done. I mean, how annoying and useless is that? What we find through our work is that foundational digital skills are lacking in organizations. And what is there is inconsistent. Every single day we find that basic Windows tools like the ability to search on the Start menu or the ability to split the screen using Windows Snap are practically unknown. If people don't know those basics, how do we expect them to know that they could control their computer with their voice or to ink on a PDF with a pen? People are expected to know the difference between OneDrive and SharePoint, but they don't even know how to manage basic files. How can we expect them to collaborate on files with their team without creating 20 different copies of every file? And then companies want their people to pivot their communication into Teams instead of email, but they have no idea why they should ever do that. So often their response to company initiatives like introducing Teams is to play dead, to act really quiet and hope that the latest new technology fad will simply wash over them like the last one did, so that they can get back to doing things the old-fashioned way. Now, during the pandemic, we spent a lot of time brainstorming, debating, and thinking about this problem. How do we get people to think about the seriousness of the need to develop their digital skills? And how can we reach more people, helping them to solve this problem in the most economical and efficient way? The brainstorming process took us to the sports world. Think of your favorite professional sporting team. What does their approach to training look like? Imagine a professional NBA player saying, she'll be right, mate, it's just basketball. I mean, that's ridiculous, of course. We discussed this famous interview with Kobe Bryant, where interviewer Alan Stein Jr. asked Kobe
and said, Kobe, I don't understand. You're the best player in the world. Why are you doing such basic drills? And he flashed that $1 million smile and he gave me a very friendly wink, but he said in a serious tone, why do you think I'm the best player in the world? Because I never get bored with the basics.
Because I never get bored with the basics. The point is that a professional doesn't wing it. They don't view training as one and done. They don't learn in the flow of the game. They have teams of coaches and they train, most likely for hours every single day. Now maybe you think your work isn't so high stakes, but I'm sure if you think about it, it's equally as important as throwing a rubber ball around a basketball court. And no doubt the primary tool for most of you is not a rubber ball, it's a computer. How much training have you done on the use of that computer? How seriously do you take it? Could a skills coach help you to get more from that? So that's the premise of the work that we've been doing. We've put together a skills coaching program for digital skills. It's a curated program that's introduced and led by skilled instructors. It includes standalone video content that always addresses the why behind the skill. It teaches the skill necessary to develop and instructs on practice exercises to cement the learning. It also includes the resources necessary to revisit and build on the skills as you continue to develop. This is not a consume at your own pace, learn in the flow of work program. Our premise is based on a commitment of 15 minutes a week. Achievable, but impactful. Our aim is to close the digital skills gap for organisations that want their teams to achieve more. So building that program has involved designing, scripting and producing about 250 lessons so far. We've been busy creating videos, programs, practice exercises, coaching sessions, all based on our experience in training people in the real world at work. At this stage, it's designed and targeted to organisations, but that doesn't mean that we won't be sharing here on YouTube. As a team, our mission has long been to inspire you to discover and to adopt the tools that will help you to achieve your best work. ASI has supported us to further this mission, and ASI's mission closely aligns with ours. Their mission is to elevate your experience through technology. Now, I have dozens of video scripts on my virtual desk sitting here crying out for my attention, and there are some incredible things going on in the Microsoft technology world right now. We've got a lot to say, and we'll be back to share it with you. At ASI, we really have a lot of smart and interesting people too, and I have plans to bring them in here and to share them with you too. Next week, I'll be over in Redmond with my brother Matt for the Microsoft MVP Summit. I'm a Microsoft Surface MVP, he's an MVP for Microsoft 365. We'll be attending lots of sessions with the Microsoft product teams all across the different areas. Unfortunately, when we go to these summits, they tell us a lot of stuff that we can't share, but we will bring you updates from the summit, and beyond that, we'll be continuing to share videos around Microsoft products like Surface, OneNote, Teams, Copilot, and everything Microsoft 365. In case you're wondering, I am still actively using my Surface Pro 9 5G with Windows on ARM. I absolutely love it, but I'm no longer using the Surface Duo 2. I sadly gave that up at the end of 2022 because of issues with software quality. It was a great concept and it was a really cool piece of hardware. It was just let down by a poor implementation of Android. Microsoft just didn't put the resources into that product to make it what it needed to be. And I suspect that was part of the reason that Panos Panay left late last year. I'm using a Samsung Galaxy Fold now, which I absolutely love too, but I really do miss that Duo 2 in some ways. There were some really cool things that it did. And for all those Surface fans, there are some really cool things in the pipeline. I can't wait to share those with you here. So now it's on to the next video. One of the last videos that we published compared OneNote to Notion. Now, I love the discussion on that, but now it seems everyone in the Microsoft community is telling us that Microsoft's Notion wannabe Loop will replace OneNote. Now, I'm going to tell you why that's a dumb idea and a smart one too in the next video. So make sure that you hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.